Nicole Huntsman here from moderncosmic.com. We have got our sun sign compatibility here on this video. Gemini are the people born from May 21st through to June 20th. You'd be a Gemini sun. Gemini is a zodiac sign ruled by Mercury, and I always think of a flock of birds chirping at each other and talking to each other. Gemini energy is really busy. We've got Mercury, which orbits the sun in 88 days. That's the year. That's a year for Mercury, right? It's very quick. So Mercury types, whether it's a Gemini or it's a Virgo, they have a nervous energy to them and a busyness. Gemini applies it a little bit more to the mind, but Virgo does too. But it's communication. It's this sort of extroversion of this busyness. So a Gemini will, when they text you, or anyone who has a lot of Gemini in their chart, it's like long texts, or they'll keep in touch with you, or they really need communication from their partner. They need that kind of contact. That's what they're good at. Also, Geminis, they need to be moving. They love to try new things. They always have new ideas. They're quite bubbly and refreshing, and they can change their minds a lot and change their life direction a lot because they almost have too many ideas and too many things going on. They can also be a little bit fidgety, mentally and physically, a little ADD. It's kind of a Mercury trait. Our high-functioning Geminis, we have someone who's easy and breezy. They've got a cheerfulness, a versatility to them. They're good at multitasking. They're rational for the most part. There are other things to look at in the chart that will suggest otherwise, but they're open to new experiences. They're spontaneous and fun, and they've got a good sense of humor, conversationalists. They're just kind of happy, happy-go-lucky. That's very Gemini. If you're pure Gemini, they don't wade too much in those deeper waters of deep emotion and existentialist feeling or thought. A low-functioning Gemini, on the low side, they can be overly loquacious, right? They can text you too much. They can maybe not recognize when it's time to just we don't have to be talking the whole time. We can sit in silence. Remember, you need to look at the person's moon sign, their Mercury, and other things in their chart and see where that sun is actually placed, which house it's placed in. That's going to adjust this because Gemini is mutable, so it's quite overridable by other signs that are in the birth chart, okay? But for the most part, they're talkative. And if they're not extroverted with their talkativeness, then it's happening inside of them, okay? So they're going to analyze everything, and they're going to have a lot going on inside of them. So it's almost like the quiet Gemini is the one you really need to worry about because there's even more going on inside of them than the one that's extroverting it. All right, they have an anxiety to them. They can be flirty, not really anything necessarily meant by it, but they are quite flirty with the opposite sex. It can be hard to pin down. They can have problems with commitment. They can have like a Peter Pan thing happening where they just want to be like a little kid for forever and they won't grow up and, like buckle down to the realities of life. So they can be a little bit childish in a different way than Aries. It's kind of like they just don't want to take things seriously. They want to be free to... It's almost even just they change their mind so much that they can't just stay focused on one path. Gemini in love. Geminis like things to be fresh, light, bubbly, like I've said, they're little butterflies flittering about from flower to flower. In love, they enjoy conversation. They have to have conversation. They have to have communication, whether it is verbal, whether it is written through text or letters, or sharing music with each other, or sharing poetry or things that have been read. They are always like talking to someone. True Gemini is quite talkative and social, and sometimes in romantic relationships, because they have this sweetness to them and this lightness and easiness, when they really fall in love with someone, they're not quite sure what to do with these feelings. It's kind of like, oh, geez, like it's bringing them, they're usually up in their headspace or this throat chakra area, right? This is where they operate. And it brings them down into the part of the body where there are no words. They can't put words on the feelings they're feeling. And that is really uncomfortable for someone who is used to and excels at putting words to things. So many times they run from commitment because they don't know what to do with it. They're like, what is this thing, okay? So in love, Geminis many times have a harder time with people who are perhaps more watery or more feelers, this kind of thing. They like to keep things light. And again, look at the other signs in the chart. Look at where that sun is placed to give you an indicator. If you've got someone who's got multiple planets and air signs, then that's what we're talking about. Gemini's expectations in love. So they need space, but they also need a lot of conversation and repartee and connection, which is a funny little thing, right? They just need space to know they can go and like wander off and do their little thing and then come back. They've learned some new things and you've got to learn some new things. You have new stuff to talk about, new things to enjoy together, okay? They like jokes. They have like a little naughty sense of humor. They love playing together. They don't like emotional mind games. They do not like passive aggression. The water signs rule that realm, okay? The water signs are like professional at passive aggression and emotional manipulation. Geminis are just going to be like, what are you doing? That doesn't work for me. And then they'll just flit off somewhere else, okay? You can't tie them down. If you try to tie them down, you are fighting a losing battle. So, okay. Also, they don't like feeling a sense that their partner's leaning on them for their emotional validation. You know, Gemini, they need a partner who is strong on their own, who, you know, doesn't need to be validated by them. You can't be clingy with a Gemini. That doesn't work for them. So Gemini's biggest fear. Now, because we have someone who is quite flighty, and they can be shallow at times, or they can appear shallow. It's just because they're interested in so many things. They're going a million miles a minute, and they got so much stuff going on in their head, and they, you know, going all these different directions, and they have this genius to them, you know, this Gemini Mercury quickness and quicksilver thing happening. They're afraid that maybe they really don't have the emotional depth, okay? A lot of times Geminis have been accused by loved ones in their lives that you know, can't you take this seriously? Why can't you commit to me? You know, these kinds of things. And the Gemini, this is an issue for them, it's something that they really worry about because, as I said earlier, that heart space is not their natural habitat, okay? They are cerebral and they are, you know, throat chakra, they're communicators. Heart stuff, intuition, this does not have words. So unless that Gemini has some strong placements in their chart that they need some water placements or even some fire, which will bring them down into their body at least, or earth, you know, this is going to be a fear of theirs. They're going to worry that they don't have emotional depth. So don't ever accuse them of being shallow, right? See them and meet them where they're at and help them put words to their feelings. Help them put words to the things that they can't voice, okay? That's how you can help them overcome this fear and help them to grow. Capricorn Sun Sign. So Capricorn, this is December 22nd through January 19th. These are the goats. Now, when you think of Capricorn, I want you to think of an earthy individual. What does that mean? So when you're earthy, that means the earth is something you can see. You touch it, taste it, throw it, make something out of it. That's earth. It's here, practical. It's in the sensory reality that we experience here in this three-dimensional world, this three-dimensional space. Capricorn is like the king of this place. This is a sign ruled by Saturn. Saturn traditionally is Kronos, the god of time. Kronos also is the father who eats his children because, as you know, the mother births us and introduces us to this mortal world. Thanks, Mom. And then that also means she kills us through introducing us to our father, Saturn, Kronos, right? Who is going to eventually eat us. Gobble, gobble, gobble. Yum. Okay. So Capricorn types are serious folks, practical folks. Even if you've got a fun Capricorn, there's a quality to them that realizes the realities of life. This is why with business, they're good at creating a plan, working a plan, planning your work, working your plan. Okay, that's Capricorn. They're practical. They're here. They realize the vicissitudes of life and they're willing to plan accordingly. Now, with love and romance, when you've got a sun sign that has to do with, you know, practicality, it's kind of not that sentimental. It's cold, detached energy. Capricorn is a colder, more detached energy. It is one that is focused on business. It's all business, all right? So you're going to look at the rest of this chart, unless you're also a Capricorn. And remember, your sun sign is how you sort of operate your life, all right? So you could have someone who's quite emotional and sweet and loving, but they're Capricorn sun, but they've got, for example, I've got a client, Capricorn sun, he has a Cancer moon, great businessman, fantastic at, you know, setting it all up and making money and making it work, but his heart is really soft and sweet. He's very tender and loving to the people that are close to him, and so you know, your sun sign is how you outwardly operate and express your ego. So in a love relationship, Capricorns are the types, because they're earth, they're here to build something. They are not interested in dating just to kind of screw around. You'd have to have a lot of air signs or air energy or Uranian energy on that sun or moon to make this person who's really flighty. For the most part, Capricorn, they're wanting to build something. So in relationship, they're quite traditional. Their ultimate end game is they want a partnership, and they want it with someone who is excellent. They have a high standard. They are looking for, if you look at the birth chart, when you look at the zodiac, how it naturally falls on the wheel, you've got Capricorn at the very top, that 10th house. That's the Capricorn house in Western astrology, in the 10th house. It's different in Vedic. I mean, it's shaped differently, but anyway, so 10th house there at the top, and this is a cardinal house. This is the house that has to do with how we appear in the world around us. So status is the thing that's important to Capricorns. Even if you've got a pretty, it depends on their other, obviously things on their other planets, where the other planets are placed, but they'll be interested in status, whether it's nice clothing or a nice home or a job that's important, or they're seen as important, or doing something that's serious work. There's a discernment and a defining quality to Capricorn that they will apply to how they approach life. High function Capricorns, you've got someone who is focused, driven, there's an ambition there, there's a loyalty to Capricorn. 10th house is an earth sign. There's a nature where it likes to, it'll be pickier though about the friends that they'll let in many times. If you've got someone who's pure Capricorn, remember this is pure Capricorn. And it can be within female Capricorn, sometimes you can see like a bitchiness, or like that's not good enough for me kind of a thing, which is great. I love it. Be picky. There's pickiness. There's a pickiness to Capricorn men as well, actually. They have an idea of what they're looking for, and they're not going to waste their time going down roads that are inefficient and impractical. That doesn't make any sense to them. So they desire intimacy as well with a partner, because they're so much of Capricorn is in this sort of serious, sometimes cynical place. A partner who has a sweetness, who is very real and practical and here and grounded, but sweet, really appeals to a Capricorn, especially Capricorn. I mean, that's goes both directions, but they're traditional and conservative, and so Capricorn male many times will like a female that is feminine, and Capricorn's quite masculine energy. It's like the general, it's the goat, but I think of it as the general, someone in charge, they've got a mission, they've got a crystallized plan in their head, and they're bringing it from their brain out into the world around us. And so they naturally makes them good leaders. Many times they're good at following rules or being the bureaucracy that creates the rules. And this can even be like a mom, a stay-at-home mom. She would be quite have her idea of how things should be run in the home, and be kind of systematized and organized with the way that she would run her home. That would be Capricorn. They're also solid and grounded. There's a grounded practicality. Again, it's that earthy dutifulness comes with Capricorn as well. A low function Capricorn, you've got someone who can be a little picky. There is a discernment there, and there's an understanding of quality, whether it's a quality of a human being, quality of a product, quality of the way a business is being structured and run. They can see when something does not meet their standards of what it should be meeting. Okay, so they're the rule makers many times. They're the ones that have a hard time then when other people are breaking the rules. They can be judgmental of others, and also if you've got a really conservative Capricorn, so we're saying like a pure Capricorn, they can be annoyed with iconoclasts, so with people who kind of go against the grain of what the status quo has suggested you should be doing. They don't like that. They can be cold and a little bit distant, and sometimes place practicality or the system or the mechanics to how you're going to make something happen, the plan, over the emotions of the people that are involved in the plan, or the mechanizations of the organization, or this kind of thing. They can be a little bureaucratic, and you can apply that in a relationship as well. But at the same time, they also show up. They're showing up, so they want you to show up as well. So sometimes you have to follow the plan and the system so that everyone shows up the way they're supposed to, if that makes sense. They can be workaholics. They can sometimes place work over pleasure. They can be, and that can make them be stick in the mud sometimes. They can be a little like, you know, boring. If you had a pure Capricorn. This is me. I have a fire moon, so what do I know? But they can be a little, you know, just serious. They can be serious. And they can also sometimes struggle with emotional expression. Look at the moon. That's very important. Especially Capricorn moon or someone whose moon making aspect to Saturn or is in the 10th house. They will have emotional control issues where they want to control their emotions. When emotions come out, they want to restrict it. They want to put rules on it and put, you know, keep it in check, put reins on it. That can happen a little bit with Capricorn Sun, but that's more just how they sort of live their life. They'll be structured in the way that they live their life. Capricorn in love. So you got this personality type that has a seriousness to them. And the way they approach things is with a sort of seriousness, like I can get this done, I can make this happen, make this work. And in love, they do the same thing. They, in business and in other parts of their life, they're able to get shit done. So in their relationship, they think they should also be able to get shit done and they should make it work. So sometimes if you have a Capricorn who's in an unrequited love situation, that's going to be really frustrating because usually they can get things to work the way that they want them to work. So, but when they're in a relationship where everything's good, you've got a partner who, or you are the partner, the Capricorn, who wants foundation, who wants to build something together. They want a serious long-term commitment. They want to know that there's reliability there on both ends. Ultimately, Capricorn in that 10th house is opposite the 4th house, moon, Cancer, 4th house, which is the home. They would not have purpose without the 4th house. So a Capricorn ultimately needs home. They need their partner. They need to know that all the work they're doing is feeding this place, ultimately, the mother, the home, the family. Because that's ultimately where they're going to get their safety and security from. You see, it's like a loop. These two need one another. So if you have someone who is single, who's got strong Capricorn in their chart, or strong 10th house placements in their chart, and they don't have a partner, they don't have a grounded sense of home, you'll have an individual who's all work and perhaps no play, and they focus all their energy on work, and ultimately it's going to lead to a life of probably not feeling totally fulfilled because their purpose to be seen and to create status will never really truly be witnessed by anyone who is intimately involved with them. So that's a side note. But Capricorns in love, they need to feel like they've got that partnership, they've got that home and that soft place. And they're, as romantic partners, they're dependable and lovable or loving. You know, they take care of, they take it seriously. They take their relationship seriously. So they are good partners. Capricorn's expectations in love, they expect loyalty and they expect, you know, fidelity, loyalty, a certain sort of respect. Capricorn men want to take care of the people they love because that's what they know how to do. So many times they are, you know, it's quite traditional where they have a wife or a girlfriend or someone that they care for, they financially take care of. Capricorn females, on the flip, many times you'll see them being attracted to men who are powerful, or they themselves will be career women. You got to look at the whole chart, of course, but if you've got a 10th house sun, no matter what the sign, it could be Pisces. This is a female who needs to be doing something ambitious with her career and may have a hard time sometimes finding home. And it's the same thing with a Capricorn woman. She may look for home in places where she's not truly in love. This can be a placement, you know, Capricorn females, especially if you've got a 10th house Capricorn sun, there's a desire for status, you know, for being important in life. And so they'll do that with the partner sometimes, or through their career, which becomes their partner. They become married to their career. I see that a lot in 10th house sun placements. But also Capricorn in love, they're very affectionate and they're lusty. This is like horny goat, you know, this is a lusty, earthy sign. And as far as Capricorn Venus and Capricorn Mars, these are people who have some like staying power to their sexuality. They're very earthy and sensual and in the body and like kinky, but in a really earthy, like down dirty kind of a way because it's earth. And they'll be the types too in love where they want to impress their partner. They want to do it right. They're really worried about that. Like if they want to do it the best of, you know, it's Capricorn. They're the best lover you've ever had. So they'll have to prove that to you. Capricorn's expectations of love, they require loyalty and they require respect and admiration. They also require, I think I already did this, didn't I? Okay, I did. Okay. Capricorn's biggest secret fear would be they're afraid of failing and as seen as such. So Capricorns are afraid of being seen as big losers, you know. They're not here to be losers. They're here to be successful and to be of high status, whatever that may, however that may play out, depending on, again, Moon and Venus placement and where that Sun is placed. Whatever it is that they do, they're going to do it with a certain level of excellence, or at least they'll feel most happy when they're operating from a place of excellence and doing it the right way. Remember, status quo is also important, looking to the past, how things were done in the past, and doing it the same or better. Not necessarily changing the way it's been done, but just improving upon the way it's been done. That's Capricorn. And they'll feel, if they're unable to meet that, they'll feel a sense of failure, and that for them is a big fear, to be seen as someone who needs charity or somebody who is this little person who merits pity. That's a bad place for Capricorn. They don't want to be there. So admire Capricorn, see them for all their strengths, build them up, and you will be well on your road to happiness. Okay, Gemini and Capricorn. This is kind of a weird combination. You have a decidedly child-parent feel between these two. It's like the little boy or the little girl and her dad. Now, if it's a Gemini male and a Capricorn female, it's sort of the same thing. Gemini, or the Capricorn female, could feel a little bit like she's in charge of the Gemini in a way, which could be good and could be bad. So overall, the interaction between these two initially is Gemini will feel exciting. Gemini will feel a little electrical to the Capricorn, okay? The Capricorn is going to feel like a little bit of a mystery wrapped in an enigma, in a sense, to the Gemini. And once they really get to know one another, they'll realize their projections have not been entirely accurate, and they'll pull them back into themselves. But the Capricorn is going to have a solidness and a groundedness and sort of a seriousness, an adultness to them that the Gemini will appreciate, or at least initially will think is kind of cool, because it's different and that's attractive. So that's the initial attraction. Long-term interaction. Between these two, now, long-term, these projections are going to be pulled back, and you're going to have a Gemini who is someone who needs lots of new experiences, like a little kid, sort of, who also prefers relationships to be a little bit more cerebral, a little bit more here one day, kind of gone the next, or where is it the next? Or there's a very much kind of here in the present moment with the Gemini. You know, we're here right now, we're enjoying it and having fun, but they're not really thinking down the road necessarily, okay? Capricorn, very much focused on down the road. Capricorn is ruled by Saturn. This is traditionally Kronos, the Greek god of time, you know, the father that ate his children. It's reality. It's just life here in this 3D world. So Capricorns are pretty, that's why they're known as being serious. It's like they realize time is short. This is the here and now. Work while the sun is out. What is it saying? Bale hay while the sun's shining, or something like that, or whatever the saying is. So that's Saturn, that's Capricorn. Gemini is like the bumblebee bouncing around with the butterfly from flower to flower to flower, just in a little present moment, enjoying what it's doing, flitting about. So, you know, there's going to be obviously an incompatibility there. Capricorn will see Gemini as flighty, as not reliable, or as not serious enough, or as in their, you know, immature, okay, or irresponsible. And Gemini could see Capricorn as being a little bit too boring. It's a little too focused on the things that are, well, yeah, we know that if you work hard, you're going to be able to harvest something, but what about whistling or singing while you work? You know, Gemini wants to make things fun, and Capricorn doesn't really have time for that. So it's just, they're just different. They're very different in the way that they approach the realities of life. Okay, so Gemini, Capricorn, the areas of harmony between these two, you could have the parent-child thing. The Gemini will, initially at least, feel like the Capricorn is taking care of the things that they don't want to take care of, and the Capricorn could feel like the Gemini is somebody that's giving them purpose. Is that romantic? I don't know, not really. So again, if the moons are happy, as I always say, or the Venuses, if the other planets are happy, this can work. But, you know, on the outside, these are just different people. You've got someone who is probably one of the personality types I think of as least sort of serious, very much in the present moment and bouncing around and busy and frenetic, and the other who's quite serious and slower moving, focused on the future, planning for the future, working towards the future, delaying gratification, okay? Very different in their fundamental needs. So harmony is a little tough to come by between these two. So how others will see these two? If the moons are good, if the moons are compatible, then it will make sense. Otherwise, and if it's a male Capricorn to a female Gemini, then it could make sense. It feels like the male Capricorn is got his young, fun plaything. Could feel like that. Even if they're the same age, there's this element of the Gemini feeling youthful, because that's Gemini. Gemini's the youth, it's forever young. And Capricorn is the old man, it's the hermit card of the tarot, you know, it's Saturn. So it could feel like this, you know, winter and spring sort of a thing, I suppose. And on the less positive side, people could see the two as a mismatch and feel like the Gemini is too young for that, or too immature, or just not correct, not the right match for the Capricorn, or cheating on the Capricorn, or, you know, etc., etc. So it just depends on the moons. If the moons are happy, then perceptions might be a little different.